And welcome back to another episode of Cats Cup Podcast. You're here with your hosts, Christian, Justin, and Mean being Cody Green. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
What's up, boys?
What's up? And I'm glad to say this, but Cats Cup Podcast is presented by Cumberland Auto Rentals. Whether you are looking for a car to rent or are on an insurance claim or planning your next vacation, Cumberland Auto Rentals is here to help you. They are proudly serving the areas of Ewing, Pennington Gap, and Harlan, Kentucky. You can reach them on Facebook or call 276-861-2710. They are open Monday to Thursday, 8 to 5, and Friday from 8 to 4. So go check them out, boys and ladies, if you need a car or an insurance policy rental. So go hit our boy Justin up.
That's what we're here for, man. You did such a good job. I'm
I
proud
know.
of you, man.
And
Did good.
if you guys want us to run any ads for anybody else, just let us know. I'll gladly read them. Just please make it in big font and easy words.
Words are
Hey,
hard.
can I get something out real quick? Justin's hat over there.
What about it?
I like it, but it's not as superior as mine and Christian's. I will. It's
Yeah.
not as good. It's not as good.
Hey, it works, man. I'm representing
It does
Cats
work.
Cat. That's what matters.
Yeah.
It does work. It works.
Representation.
I love it.
Yes,
Cody, it looks
sir.
like you got a new office, man.
I did it. It's real spacious. It's just it's not a lot. Yeah. I moved in my car. I'm homeless.
Oh, whoa.
I'm joking. I'm joking. My car's my home.
Your car's not home. Well, that's
Yes.
okay. That's okay. But on
Yeah.
Saturday, me and Cody, we're out there at Kroger. A lot longer than we originally anticipated. As you could tell today, if you're watching on live stream, Cats Cut was delayed. There was some lightning strikes. Set us on a 20-minute delay, so it wasn't an 8-mile radius. So kind of following what happened on Saturday a little bit. But Cody knows this. Saturday, probably one of the weirdest games I've ever been to in my life. Not only it being just pushed back 2.5 hours from the original kickoff time, but they didn't let anybody know what was going on at all the entire game,
No.
unless you
It
had your
was-
phone. That
it
was the only
was
way. That was the only way you knew anything.
It was so bad. Because everybody's sitting there, everybody's just chit chatting, and all the stadium's doing is playing music. And
Yeah.
props to the guy that started doing the light show, because that was the only reason probably most of those people stayed around, unless you were a diehard UK fan,
Yeah.
but and knew that you were going to play football that night. But everybody was just watching the sky. If you're sitting on the home side and looking on the opposite side of the stadium back the other way into Lexington, it's all you see is just flashes every 10 seconds, and then it was really, really annoying to sit
It
there.
was.
But it was also worth it because we got to watch the Cats, and I don't think nobody else could ever say that they sit there for 2.5 hours and watch the Cats at midnight. So I think it's
Yeah.
But that drive home was rough.
Oh, it was. It was.
yeah. I drove to someone else's house in Lexington and said not. So
Yeah, I was okay. I still had I was still kind of juiced up a little bit just from the crowd and all that. But after about 2 hours away from it, you start to get a little tired once you hit about Barville on the way home.
So, was it like storming really bad, or was it more like heat lightning out in the distance?
Well, it was most of it was heat lightning, but there was a few it would go from the prettiest and clearest sky you've ever seen in your life to torrential downpour Noah and the Ark type rain for 20-minute spurts. And it was the most annoying thing ever because you didn't know whether you could go out there and get a tan or get sunburnt or need to get a boat or a kayak or something to be able to get to the game.
And I think a lot of people were getting annoyed because it wasn't even doing nothing right on the stadium. It was just there was a lightning strike right at the 8-mile radius to where there can't be lightning. It was just right there at the edge every time. That's what kept
Gotcha.
canceling the game.
Yeah. And from what I've heard, the the way it looked on TV was awful for a little bit. They said it was like such delayed like movements and zoom ins, and they said it was just like awful.
Gotcha.
But Kentucky did win 31-0, even though it was cut short by a good 25 minutes of actual game time. So, guys, what was one thing that really stood out to you in this big win for the Cats? Let you
Justin,
go
go
first,
ahead,
Cody.
man. Oh, okay. I'll
Let you go first, Cody.
Things that stood out to me, I guess we'll start with the quarterback. Great pocket awareness. He had such a good sense of where everybody was coming around. If he was coming off the edge or up the middle, great job on that. That was definitely an upgrade. No hate on Devin Leary, but a little bit of an upgrade. He was slinging the ball. There was some passes. I think he had one to Jabor Macklin and one to Dane Key there. Had a big game, but he threw it right where only they were getting the ball. Like nobody else was getting that ball. Like he threaded a ball between three people, and Jabor Macklin caught it. And let me talk about the wide receiver room because they did. And I can't just say an individual person because I know Barryon had 2 touchdowns, but they all played great. They all played fantastic. Barryon had 1 drop. We're not going to talk about that. That's all right. It's the first game of the year.
Yeah.
But they did really solid. The running back room, shout out Jason Patterson, had a real good drive there. There, and I think the second quarter, really good drive, breaking off some tackles and should have gotten the end zone. I was kind of hoping he would score, but
Yeah,
they
me
took him
too.
out, man. But Demi played a heck of a game. He had some big runs there. Jamarion, he had a couple of runs there. It looked really solid. Offensive line, though, I think was on my MVP of the offense. I think everybody was a little worried how they would do and react to the season opener, but I thought they did great. I think Brock got hit twice. I think that was the only 2 things I've seen. But again, if not too worried about the offense line now, just because of what I've seen from Brock. Brock, please slide. If you'll never see this, but Lord, slide. I know you can run anybody over, but slide. But
Yeah, we need you.
but then going to the defense, your linebacker room looked great. Dumas Johnson, De'Aaron Jackson looked really good.
What's up, David?
L's down.
Hey, listen. Before you get back to talking about the linebackers, listen. I want Louisville to be ranked. I want them to both be top 20. Because listen, that would be just a great game. 2 top 20 opponents, big rivalry. Everybody's gonna be talking smack. It'll be probably one of the best rivalry games.
It'll be
When
embarrassing.
we win by 50.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think isn't Louisville ranked right now?
I think they're 22nd.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're 22nd, and then Florida State, they're probably out of the top 200. We're not gonna talk about that though.
No, listen.
Okay,
Speaking
we're
of
gonna talk about
rankings, no, this ain't talking about Florida State.
Sweet.
It's talking about it's talking about Vandy. They got 8 top 25 votes.
Compared to our 2. Yeah, I know we played Southern Miss, but Vanderbilt.
Dude, we were on pace to probably hit 60.
And I'm not saying anything bad about Virginia Tech, but they're not the greatest team in the world. We would have beat Virginia Tech if we're going to be honest. I think anybody in the SEC would have beat Virginia Tech. Louisville probably not going to beat Virginia Tech. They'll probably get beat, but that's not what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But I understand why we're not getting votes for top 25. Again, we didn't play nobody. Nobody really impressive. Now I would have been mad if South Carolina got more votes than us. I'd have really been mad on that. But
yeah.
But I think if you beat South Carolina, which I think you will by a large amount, I think you'll definitely be top 20 next week going to the Georgia game.
Yeah.
Just to make that game even more hyped than it already is.
But going back to the Southern Miss game, Cody, you were bringing up a big point on the linebackers. That was actually what I was getting ready to say stood out to me. Jamon Pop Dumas Johnson. Dude's a dog. Like, I mean, immediate impact. Like, I was kind of like, how's he actually going to do in Kentucky's defense? I mean, he was an All-American 2 years ago, and he comes in, and you're like, okay, he's next to Jackson. He's in there, And then right off the rip, man, pick. Bats it up, picks it off. And I'm like, okay. I like it. And, I mean, he was pretty much everywhere when he was on the field, too. He had a few tackles, and, I mean, that pick was massive because we had just turned the ball over after we'd started driving on him, turned it over, and then he's just like, nope, it's our turn. Got it back. So,
No, I was very impressed with the linebackers. Shout out, Alex Fari.
Yeah.
Lord, we've talked about him all offseason. I mean, he had a heck of a game. JJ had a great game. The secondary played very well. There were some times that, I got a little aggravated at the safeties. There was some stupid stuff that they did, but they're young kids, obviously, so they're going to do stuff like that, as probably all of us would.
And it was week one. I mean,
And it was week one. So, and you also had to sit in the locker room for 2 hours and overthink a lot of things. So it's understandable. So I'm not going to talk crap about them because they still did a really, really good job. But the defensive line got great pressure on the quarterback the whole night. And what is it that
we're
I
talking?
say?
It's funny. I said, what's one thing that stood out, and you've listed every position on the
Hey,
team.
I'm gonna go ahead and
You
talk
went
about
into
the
a
whole
deep
game.
dive on the
I'm
entire
deep diving
football
the whole
team.
game, dude. I've been waiting to talk about this for a while.
You're like, well, if I could just go one thing, let me say quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line.
Now, going
The
to
placeholder,
special
the
teams
long
now,
snapper.
The long snapper didn't miss a snap. I mean, it was just perfection every time. And then the kicker. Let me talk about Alex for a minute. Man, did he not miss a kick? Man, he did a great job. And then Bush Hamden, shout out to him. And there was one drive there, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it because I'm already running my mouth. But 3 plays in a row, they just threw deep bombs, and the third one actually worked. When in the world would we ever have done that in Kentucky football history? They'll just answer it, never. But Brad White,
Brad Lott.
Brad Lott. Yeah, I'm thinking of alcohol for some reason. There was some times that I was confused while we were running coverage a couple times. I think that was like Southern Miss had some big plays that probably they had those big plays because we were in coverage. But
Yeah, we were running that like soft prevent defense because they didn't want to get beat over the top, and then they were just these little check down things and picked up 20, 30 yards.
yeah, it was
And
aggravating. But
it's like when they go to that zone coverage. That's what, like, in those type of instances, I would say, like, in that case, like that, what was it, 3rd and 20 something?
yeah, it was either that or it was a second down. 'cause they
Yeah,
had
that's
just
one of them things you rush like 3 or 4 guys, and you have like your corners and your linebackers in man coverage. Then you have your safeties deep in in zone, like up top, and then like that because they have
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 like super deep, and I was like, what are you doing? but they kind of clutched up a little bit after that. I mean, they really didn't allow anything else.
No, they did really good. Like I said, the secondary did a fantastic job at covering. So,
Yeah,
and I'll say this again. Another thing I was impressed with, and I know we didn't do it very well last year, tackling.
yeah.
We actually finished tackles, and I was very happy to see that watching it. But, I'm going to shut my mouth. I'll let you all talk for a minute because I talked way too long. So,
All right.
Justin,
Yeah, what stood out to you, Justin?
I mean, what else is there to talk about?
I don't know. I think Cody's got the next 4 weeks covered. We might even not have to do Cat's cut.
No, I mean, for me, it would be, of course, Brock. He threw 12 for 18, 169 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. What did it cut off, like 9:59 in the third quarter, something like that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as soon as
can
that
you
was-
imagine, like, if he completed this game, what kind of stats he would have had?
Yeah.
And he's got a cannon for an arm, but also, I mean, middle field, everything, the long ball, everything. I mean, he's a great quarterback, high IQ. I mean, for me, I'm excited. at the fact, something that Cody brought up, which everything that I've said, Cody's probably already said, and I'll just reiterate. But like, but the offensive line is so key in us being successful in the SEC. They've got to protect Brock, and of course, I think he's got the IQ to read what's coming at him, and to be good. But I mean, if they're protecting him like they should, I think that's going to spell great success on the offensive end of the field. And then Christian, you mentioned about the defense. I mean, we forced 2 interceptions. Defense is strong, and going into the season, we already knew their defense was going to be great. The question was, okay, what's our offense going to look like? And they really showed out. Now, I do know this is Southern Miss. This is an SEC team, but I do think that come this Saturday against South Carolina is really going to tell the tale. Even though we still should beat, I think we're 10-point favorites right now against South Carolina. I think they're going to beat them by more than that. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really going to tell, what we look like all together against, tougher competition and that sort of thing. So, but for me, that would be what would stand out. And also, I want to say this too. And in the post-game interview, Brock said, you know what? He said, I know it's late, but I will be at church in the morning. I want to admire this dude's faith and his, I was listening to one of his teammates there in an interview the other day. I can't remember his name, but he was talking about what stood out to him more about Brock than anything, and it was his faith. And so I respect that, that he's just got a good reputation, pretty steadfast, strong in what he believes, so just shout out to him. I thought he did great. I knew he threw an interception there early on, but I think after all the jitters were worked out, man, I thought Kentucky they looked pretty good from Saturday.
I agree with that. Well, I mean, like that one pick by Brock, I don't really think that one even should be counted really on him because it was batted. I think once it gets batted, true. I mean, it still goes against him. I mean, he had that one pass that hit the guy like right in the numbers, the DB, when he threw it right in triple coverage. But I mean, other than that, I mean, he looked very poised. Like, he didn't look like a first-time starter. Like, he looked like he had, like, started a few games and then maybe had transferred in. Like, he was still getting used to the offense. But, like, I mean, like you said, he was very poised, high IQ. Honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb, whatever you want to say. I'm going to say he's going to hit the 30-touchdown mark this year. With all the offensive weapons we have around him, and Barryon Brown, Macklin, and Dane Key, plus Dingle at tight end, plus Caddis on the other side. I mean, I don't see why he can't hit it. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns in the first, 2 quarters? Did he have a third? Yeah, he hit Dingle late or mid in the third, and then they called the game shortly after. But, I mean, I could see him definitely hitting 30 this year.
Yeah. I could see it over 30. I could definitely see it over 30.
Okay,
I could see close to 40. I could see close to 40. I really can.
I'll one-up you. I'll say close to 70.
I'll say close to 115.
I like it.
We'll just keep going.
Yeah. He's going to break. He's just going to be the greatest quarterback to ever play.
Talking about the offense a little bit. Man, we seen a lot of jet sweeps, didn't we?
We saw a lot of motion.
A lot of motion, a lot of movement, and a fast tempo, let me add. A fast-tempoed offense is what we looked like. Loved it so much. If we had a big play, we were already the line, ready to go, ready to snap the ball again for the next play. So it was super exciting to see that. The question is, do we think that we're going to do a lot of the jet sweep against South Carolina? If it works, I think you do. I don't think you show all that you've got because I think you can beat South Carolina without pulling everything out of your back pocket. I think you can run most of the stuff that you're in against Southern Miss. I think it would probably work.
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of Kentucky people like, "Well, these are different athletes. These are a lot better team than Southern Miss." I think our offense is one of the best offenses in the country. I know it's just been 1 week, but the way that we looked, and I'm probably being very biased, but it looked really, really good to me. So I think you do see a lot of just now. Justin's laughing at me.
Well, no, I mean, I get your point. I wouldn't say one of the best yet. I want to see it against a good defense. I'll say more about it after the Georgia game. But I did hear a lot of people saying that Southern Miss's defense isn't like a
great.
horrible defense. Like I've heard that it
Oh.
was their defensive line was actually like a lower end, like close to like Vandy's top D line.
Oh, okay.
Like not like the greatest, but could be like a lower echelon like SEC
Yeah.
defensive line. And so like I mean the way that the offensive line was moving, I mean after I heard that and they said like they graded pretty high actually, I wasn't mad at it. But
Oh.
even going back to that game, one thing that I think that, like you said earlier, though, Cody, was Brock has to slide, and I think that the defense has to key in on third downs. Like I think that they have to be able to, because last year, I mean, that was even a big thing, was third down defense. Like they could make a team go like 3-95, and somehow that team would convert on a first down.
Yep.
So this year, I think JJ Weaver really impressed me. I don't think we've mentioned much of him yet, but the way he was coming off the edge, he looked like a madman, and he was just throwing the offensive line.
He looked a little quicker. He looked a lot quicker coming off the edge, I will say.
Yeah,
That was a big thing with him. People talking about that he was a little too slow. He had the muscle, was just a little too slow getting on the edge, but he looked really good to me. But
yeah.
so
But yeah, after watching that game, man, I know it's Southern Miss, and I shouldn't get hopped in. I knew I would do this, and I mean, we actually did a lot better than I thought offensively. Because I mean, I think we had 148 yards or 49. It was 140 something rushing yards without our main back, DSK, Jason Patterson, and I think Brock. They all averaged above 7 yards a carry. So, I mean, but like Jason Patterson, I think out of all the running backs, he impressed me the most. Because, I mean, he only had 4 carries, but like, I mean, he broke out one, like, I think it was like 14 or 15 yards, like off to the right side. And I was like, man, honestly, I made a tweet earlier in the week. I can't remember when I made it. It might have been Sunday or Monday. But I said, like, I think that he could honestly, if he stays 4 years, I think he could pass Benny in yards. I know that might be a little soon to judge because he's one game in, but I mean the way he was carrying, the way his vision allowed him to like, the way he was running through the gaps and hitting the right holes. I mean, really impressive for a freshman.
now, I mean, you look at Jason. And I'll let Justin talk because I know I'm still running my mouth too much. But you think about this running back room in the future. I know this is a way too far ahead to talk about this, but you got Marquise Davis coming in.
Yep.
And I don't know if Demi's going to be gone next year. Depends on how he plays this year.
I think he's a senior.
Is he a senior? So he's
think
probably
he's a
gone
senior.
unless he has his COVID year. He could have a COVID year.
I don't think he does.
Okay, so you think about the running room next year: Jason Patterson, Jamarion Wilcox, Marquise Davis. We may be looking at, and I know there was a time in Kentucky where you had Benny Snell, you had Chris Rodriguez, Cavassier Smoke. That arguably is probably the best trio running back room that you've seen in Kentucky's history. I mean, you may go back a little bit farther, but you know I'm not that old to go that far back. But
Well, didn't we have Boom, Benny, and JoJo at one point in the same?
oh, you could argue that too. I'd probably give it to Benny and Cavassier and Chris.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's tough. That is
Well,
tough.
AJ Rose.
AJ Rose was in that mix. That's true. That was before C-Rod. So, yeah.
Well, no, C-Rod and AJ Rose played on the same team.
They did play 2020, didn't they? Yeah, that's right. Well, Benny went on the team. No, Benny went on the
that's
2020
right. That's
team.
right.
Yeah. But, anyways, you could see really good running back room there, talking about that a little bit ahead. But we'll talk about a lot more next offseason. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm very excited. That like I don't know. I think it might have been I got a little slap happy midway through that game because 10 o'clock kickoff. I had been there since 11, 12, something like that. So I'd been there quite a while. But yeah, I mean, once they actually kicked it off, I think everybody was just ready to go. But so, what did you think? Who do you think was the star or the MVP of the offense and the defense? I think we've all kind of nailed our offense. I think we all agree it's Brock. Unless you
I
got
need to
somebody else,
say, I
go.
would say Brock or Jamarion, but we'll
I
say
wouldn't
Brock.
say Jamarion.
I was very impressed with Jamarion, but
Wilcox,
that's my opinion. No, McLean or what's the frick? Crap, I can't think of his name.
Jamori, Macklin.
Jamori Macklin. I'm so sorry.
All right, you're good.
Had a rough day, but that's on me.
Yeah, okay. I
But
could see that.
so Justin, who's your defensive MVP?
I'll let you take that, Cody. You've been doing so good. You've been doing so good talking here. I'm gonna let you take it, man. I feel like I'm the student in the room just learning from you guys right now.
Oh
Okay.
gosh, I guess I give it to Jameis Johnson. He had that pick there at the beginning, and oh my goodness, so sorry. It's what happens when you gotta do it. Podcast in the vehicle. But I'd give it to I got two people. I'd give it to him or Alex Safari, and they both did a good job tackling, and it's so interesting watching Jameis because like he's such a good athlete and so smart and he reads the offensive line so well that here we'll go this. They only had 5 rushing yards and that was in the middle of the third quarter. They only had 5 rushing yards. And that was in credit of give credit to the defensive line, but the linebackers were flying in there and stopping that too. Like Alex held the edge. Like they weren't getting outside of Alex if he was out there. It doesn't matter where he was.
Yeah, he's quick.
Yeah, he is super quick, dude, on the outside edge. But Jamarion, I mean Jamin did a great job. He did a really good job, and D-Jack did a good job too. You know, if it wasn't Hardway, if it wasn't him getting the interception in the end zone there on that second pick, it would have been D-Jack because he's the one that tipped it up. Like he should have picked it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Still got to pick anyways. But yeah, I'd either go him or Alex would be mine.
Yeah, I'd probably go Ribka. Just because
I thought of Ribka.
I mean, he had a sack and then he had a tackle for loss. I mean, his impact there coming up the middle. I mean, dude, and off the edge. I mean, he's been studded up. Like, I mean, to see him actually getting more playing time this year is going to be good for our defensive line. So I'm excited to see what he has moving into the South Carolina game.
Yeah, like that sack was awesome to watch because he didn't even tackle him. He ran the offensive lineman over and he fell on the quarterback. That was how the sack was. He bulldozed the center, I believe, or the left guard, and I mean he ran into the quarterback and he got the sack. So, and like we've talked about there a couple weeks ago, we've talked about all offseason how much depth our defensive line has. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised we didn't have another sack, maybe 2 more. I'm surprised we didn't, but again, it's the first game. Got to get a lot of those kinks out. Got to get a lot of the stuff going and get into a defensive rhythm to where you know you're comfortable and you're gonna play the best ball that you can play. So
yeah, and
go ahead,
and I was gonna say like we didn't even have some of our guys out there. I mean, DJ Waller. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about him being a big DB for the secondary, and he wasn't even out there. He didn't even play.
I think a lot of that is that we didn't get to play the whole game, and they would probably.
Well, he was. I think he was hurt.
Oh, was he hurt?
Yeah, I think he was hurt.
Oh, okay. Then never mind then. Okay, that's my fault. I should know that.
I believe so. I know that Mark Stoops was talking about him, but yeah, I think moving forward, he'll be bigger because I mean he's just a sophomore this year. He came from Michigan, but I think maybe this year, later part of this year and into next year, I think he'll play a bigger role. But I liked how they didn't really throw at Maxwell Harrison. If you notice, they didn't throw anywhere near him for most of the game.
And yeah, if you notice, and I watched Mark Stoops' press conference, and I mean he knew it was going to happen too. And they never kicked the berry on.
Yeah.
Even that first one. And guess who got to the 50-yard line with the football? We talked about him on the podcast, Rui Rodriguez.
Yep.
The one guy that they were talking about is going to have a good future with us got it at like the 25 or 20-yard line and took it right to the 50.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, and I expect the same from South Carolina. I don't expect them to kick the Barry on, and
Yeah. I mean,
I don't expect a lot of teams to kick the Barry on. So
well, do you remember seeing that kickoff though? Because they thought they were gonna kick it to I can't remember who the other returner was, but I mean it kind of looked like it was aimed toward him and Barry on like midway, like as they're running up for the kick, you just see them switch spots
yeah,
because you kind of thought he was gonna kick it that way,
well,
and
you can
then
tell where the kicker is going to kick if it just depending on where he's
yeah,
lined up. But
which I mean it would have been a smart decision if he'd have put a little more like arc in it because it would have went right to Barry on.
well, I'd have let Barry on come and grabbed it anyways. I'd just let him come pick the ball up.
Well, I don't think he could have got there that quick.
I'm saying if it had a little bit more loft and it was a little bit more
Oh
farther
yeah,
back, yeah, I'd just let Barry on grab it. But I
yeah,
hope they put and talking about that a little bit just for a second. I'm sorry. It's just on my mind. I hope Brandon White is the other person beside Barry on kickoffs.
yeah.
If we're talking about speed, you got to have Brandon White. He's probably either the fastest or he's the second fastest behind Barry on. So hopefully that's the case there. But we'll see against South Carolina.
Yeah, he's quick. He's quick. So boys, what do you think the actual score of the game would have been if it had finished? Like
I
if the
think
game,
I think you'd probably hit 50.
think 50?
I think 50, close to 60. I think you may have had another field goal in between there. Just something stupid happened with some penalties, maybe. But
Yeah,
and that's another thing. There was hardly any holding penalties or any false starts or anything like that. And Mark Stoops even was talking about that. He goes, they did a great job of doing a lot better on that than last year. So
yeah. I see. I think it would have been like mid 40s because I think Brock would only played like one more drive,
that's
maybe
true.
two after that last touchdown. I don't think he'd have been in there much longer. But I mean, Gavin Wimsatt could have came in and balled out and put up 30 himself. So
I
we
was
don't really
excited to see
know.
Gavin come out. I wish they would have finished the game. Because
Yeah,
I think everybody knew he was going to come in and play for a little bit.
yeah,
So that would have been nice to see him and Bowley come out and play. Even Allen. Allen could have come out and played a little bit. But
and Cutter.
because yeah, everybody loves Bo Allen though. We gotta have a little because last year I didn't play a little bit, but it
Uh,
would have been Cutter been out there probably. It would have been nice to
mm,
see Cutter.
yeah. How about you, Justin?
45-7. That would have been my
Oh,
prediction.
no
We,
shutout.
Wow,
I would have gave
just
them 7 just because because of the same reasons of you said. Well, Brock's not going to be playing, probably one more drive. Same thing all across the board. I feel like at some point they would have just probably done like a little more lackadaisical towards the end of the game. It's
Yeah,
just
were
my
you hating
opinion.
on our
I
second
mean,
string defense? You hating on them?
So that's just my opinion. So
okay. I mean,
Yeah,
I could see it. I kind of predict. I said like 55-13 or something like that.
exactly something in that range. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think this was like the second like Mark Stoops shutout in the last like what 5-6 years or something like that, or
yeah.
maybe his tenure.
I think his tenure. I think
That's
it's his tenure.
crazy. And I think they've both been in the last 2 years.
hmm
That's nuts.
It just tells
That's
you how good he's developing players and how he's recruiting. Man, I'm telling you.
yeah, yeah.
Everybody hating on
It's.
Mark Stoops, but
I mean, he's brought the program from the ground.
literally,
Legit.
literally.
I mean, but Cody. Speaking
Mm.
of like before the game even started, in the 4 hours that we had to sit in the stadium before kickoff, we
Oh, I
got to
don't
see the
know.
fancy lights.
Now I want to shout out to the guy that is running the light system because for that first hour and a half, everybody was upset. No alcohol. They weren't selling no alcohol at the time. And all we were doing was sitting there looking at our phones trying to get updates because they weren't providing any updates. Which I mean, they probably couldn't. I don't know if they were able to or not. I don't know all that behind the scenes stuff, uh, but whoever started playing, I forget. I don't know if it was Baby Shark they played first.
No, it wasn't the first one. It was
What was the first song they played? It was like, was it Pump It Up?
yeah.
And whoever was hitting the same button to go on beat, like I think he was just like Christian even mentioned it. I think he was just tapping the button to the beat. I think that's
Yeah,
all he
yeah,
was doing.
too.
And they brought the blue lights out, and that got everybody pumped up. And then all the other songs, and everybody was singing and dancing. I know me and Christian were dancing. Uh,
Yep.
but And then some of the student section started doing a wave, and it caught on and everything like that. And then they finally announced that the team was going to come out, and they all came out, and I was all excited and lost my voice after they came out because I'm not in
Cody, you
prime
lost your
time.
voice before the game
That's what I'm
started.
saying, dude. I can talk. Like, I'm not in my prime screaming voice yet. So
I'm already
that'll be
mid-season
next week.
form.
Well,
Hey,
it'll
guys.
It'll be all right Saturday.
I'm going to have to dip out here, but it's good joining y'all today.
All right. Have
Hey,
fun,
man.
Justin. We know you're hopping on another podcast. After Cat's Cut, go tune into which podcast is it, Justin?
I am actually a guest on Carmelo Grajala's ministry, his podcast this evening. So I'll be on there here shortly. So we want to prepare for that here. So, but hey, good to join you guys. I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. Kentucky 31, South Carolina 14.
Oh,
Okay, Justin.
spicy. I like it.
So just go ahead and put that down. So
Okay.
right,
Okay.
Justin.
It's noted.
Noted.
31-14.
yeah,
Hey,
let's see
man.
how it goes. Let me hear you guys real quick before I go.
Oh.
What do you got?
Go, Christian.
I'm going to say 35-17.
I'm going to say 42-10.
Oh, I like yours the best, Cody.
Slaughter. Sounds good. Cody,
Yep.
I hope you're right.
Me too.
I hope
I hope
I'm
you're right.
very wrong, and I hope it's way more than that.
Peace out. You guys be good.
See you,
See you,
Justin. But yeah, I'm excited. The Cats looked good Saturday. Hopefully we don't have that situation ever happen again because it actually sucked. I didn't like the tent. I mean, it was cool, I guess, now thinking about it. But, like, in the moment, it sucked.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, going into this Saturday, SEC Nation will be there for the South Carolina-Kentucky matchup. I think me and Cody might be there.
All
if we
depending
are-
on if I'm going golfing. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Spam in the chat that Cody shouldn't go golfing and he should go to SEC Nation and support our Cats. And we can egg Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow, yeah.
Yeah, I
We'll
won't throw an
ask
egg at him. I'm just kidding. I
We'll
wouldn't
give
do
him a
that.
hug.
Yeah. But yeah, big game this Saturday. I think the trajectory of the season, if we go in there and blow them out, I think it's just going to be, you know, the vibes are going to be there, the momentum's going to be there, and it's pretty much everything you need to have a successful season. I mean, the next week you're going against Georgia. How that's going to turn out, I don't know yet. Hopefully
Yeah.
good for the Cats, but, I mean, it is Georgia. We'll be realistic. It's Georgia. But you can't overlook South Carolina and look ahead to Georgia yet.
Yeah.
Because the past 2 years, I mean, Beamer's just had our number.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be
Yeah.
real. I mean, South Carolina's had our number. We've not been able to beat them. And then last year he came off with the stupid sunglasses and hats remark after the
Okay,
in front of Stoops'
Can
comments.
I say something? Like, if we beat South Carolina the way that I'm thinking that we're going to beat them,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping and praying that I see a video of Mark Stoops doing a dance with sunglasses and a hat on. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I want that. Like, I want that energy. Like he jumped into the crowd with the players after we beat Louisville for the first time in a long time when they had Lamar Jackson. Like, I want that energy coming up after we beat South Carolina, especially. And if we beat South Carolina, we're talking about SEC game day, and I'm just going to jump ahead because I think the hype is real. I think game day will be in Lexington week 3.
Yeah, and it'll be the first time since 07.
Yeah, and do you remember who the team was in 07 that we played? The reason they were there.
It's LSU, wasn't it?
Mm-mm.
Georgia?
Pretty positive that it was Tim Tebow's Florida Gators.
Might have been.
Pretty sure, because that's the game that he got his his neck broke almost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
yeah,
that'd be
yeah,
insane.
that'll be awesome.
Be
SEC
insane.
Nation, which, I mean, we're all used to SEC Nation being there. They're usually there, you know, especially if we're most of the time for like, I think I remember last time you and me went to SEC Nation was LSU.
Yeah, I mean, it was there last year, I think, for the Alabama game, if I'm not mistaken. But we got slaughtered. But yeah, hopefully this year, when they come in and it's just Cats beat down, because the last time me and you went, it might be good luck for us. We could go on and destroy them like we did at LSU 2 years ago.
Never know.
So
I
Cody
hope so.
Bush, Tell Cody he has to go to SEC Nation instead of golf. I thought they were there for the Alabama game too. Who was there for the Alabama game?
I didn't get to go. I had to work.
I didn't go to the Florida game because that was the day I broke my foot.
I was at the Florida game. Because I remember. Yeah, I was at the Florida.
I think I gave you my tickets, didn't I?
No, I was with Blake.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
But
because I had left work early that day because it was so worth it to be there.
Yeah.
So
some things I wish I could change, and that would be one of them. Because I wouldn't have had a broke foot, and I could have got to watch Ray Davis run for 5 billion yards on Florida.
it was such a good time though. Yeah.
But around the SEC, I mean, the Cats weren't the only team that had a shutout. I mean, there were 5 other teams that actually had shutouts. Here we'll go over some of the scores around the SEC. I mean, you had Kentucky 31 over Southern Miss 0. Georgia beat Clemson 34-3. Vanderbilt over Virginia Tech 34-27. Tennessee just dog stomped Chattanooga 69-3. Texas blanked Colorado State 52-0. Miami going into the swamp and destroying the Gators 41-17. South Carolina barely squeaked by Old Dominion 23-19. Let's see where else. Mississippi State 56-7 versus EKU. Alabama beat Western Kentucky 63-0. Ole Miss beat Furman 76-0. Notre Dame beat Texas A&M 23-13. Auburn beat Alabama A&M 37-3. And Arkansas beat AR Pine Bluff 70-0. Bro, that's not even real, bro. That's like Bishop Sycamore.
That sounds like a high school.
That sounds like Bishop Sycamore.
It does, dude.
And Missouri beat Murray State 51-0. USC beat LSU 27-20. Oklahoma.
Hey, shout out USC, man. Hey.
Yeah, L's down.
I was cracking up when I seen that. Everybody was talking about it. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh. Bush said, Cody, you gotta go early for SEC Nation so we can act wild on TV, make a Cats Cut and Freddie poster. Cody, we gotta go.
My decision will be Thursday if I do it or not.
Oh yeah, we might be live Thursday, by the way.
Yeah, I may announce it on there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I'm not. It's not a huge announcement, but I'll do it anyways.
Oh, it is a huge announcement. Because if you don't go, I probably won't go. Because I'm not going there by myself. But we'll dig a little bit deeper into this South Carolina matchup. They have a freshman quarterback. Really didn't look good at all. Didn't look good versus Old Dominion, and that's one of them games that you expect your team to just go in there and blow them out, kind of like how we did versus Southern Miss. Like, you just expect this just monumental blowout, not even close, no chance for anything.
Yeah.
And like here, I'll go over some of our defense did great at that, and I believe we've got the right defensive line, and that's really where you win games is in the trenches. Like Deion
100%.
Walker, Silver, and all them boys, they looked really good. So great there. But total yards, Old Dominion outgained them 305 yards to 288. They had more turnovers. South Carolina only had 1. Old Dominion had 4. But they pretty much had the same amount of first downs. They had 18, and Old Dominion had 17.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it this week at some point because if we're doing it Thursday, possibly.
But
I'll be a little bit more prepared on the game. But
yeah, but Sellers,
apparently,
he had,
according to shout out to all the Freddies, especially Bush. Apparently, they just could not block. They couldn't block anything. Like, you could throw a toddler out there and they weren't going to block it, or a grandma or granny, and they weren't blocking. But and I think a lot of Kentucky people, what I'm hearing and how they're talking about the game Saturday is like, well, don't be surprised if we lose. I could see that we lose, but a lot of people don't do the research and they don't look at the game, watch the game or anything like that. I think your defensive line is going to absolutely dominate. I think they're going to be forced. I think he's going to be forced out of the pocket for one, the quarterback. I think he's going to be forced out of the pocket a lot, and I think they're going to have to throw the ball a lot this game. I don't think Rocket Sanders is going to have any room to run whatsoever. He may find a gap or two there occasionally.
Yeah.
But I just don't see them running the ball a lot. I think they're going to have to throw, and I think our secondary is going to thrive.
Well, that's where they kind of had their bread and butter. Whereas the Old Dominion was the run game. I mean, Sellers, he had 22 carries, 68 yards, 1 touchdown. But, they were only really averaging 3.1 yards per carry. So, it's not really like they were gaining a lot of yards, like, per carry. They had a lot over the gist of the game.
Yeah.
But, it's like we've got a way better defense than Old Dominion. And they
100%.
struggled.
Yeah.
That might just come from, not really having as much game experience, You're throwing a kid that's 18, 19 years old out there and expecting him to be Heisman-esque, like that's what they're expecting out of this guy. And, I think they're putting a little too much pressure on him right off the bat. But you never know. He could be the next Johnny Football. He just ain't broke out yet.
Yeah. You never know. They probably didn't pull a lot of the stuff out that they were going to run against us. Just like we did the same thing. We probably didn't run a lot of the stuff that we would run against South Carolina. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's a lot of waiting and seeing what's going to happen. And we'll see if we're prepared. I think we'll be very prepared. I think we'll be mentally focused going into the game. So not too worried. I think you can't let them score first. I definitely think you can't let them score first. I don't know why, but I feel like every time a team scores first against us, we kind of fall apart a little bit and not sure what to do. But hopefully our offense gets in rhythm really, really quickly. I hope they find that rhythm very soon in the first quarter, maybe early second quarter, and get going. So I don't know. We'll see. I could talk a little bit more about South Carolina, though, a little bit later on. But
yeah, and we might be live. Like I said earlier, we might be live on Thursday. If we are live, we will have a special guest to be named. So if you don't see us live on Thursday, we didn't land them. But if you see us live on Thursday, we got them.
yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we got
them. But yeah, as we start to wind down this episode, you know how we always do it, the good old Bible verses. I know Cody is actually not in his where he usually records podcasts, so I'll give him some time to actually get to his. But
I got mine. I'm ready.
Oh, you got yours?
Yeah,
are you ready?
Yeah, you want me to go ahead and go?
Yeah, if you want to go, you got it, man.
I got Psalm 73:26. It says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." Our flesh is going to fail us. I'm probably going to do this first multiple times through the entire time we do this podcast. But I think it's a really important verse, which, again, all the verses are very important. You just got to dig deep in some of them to get the full understanding and listen to the Lord. But it said, "And my flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart, and He's my portion forever." Going back to your verse last week, talking about the Spirit that rose Jesus up from the dead is within us. The Lord's always going to be with us. He's not a God that's going to be afar, but He's a God that's close at hand. He's closer to us than He is a brother. He is our true Father, and He's the creator of everything that we do. Our flesh and our heart, we're going to turn away from Him occasionally, and we're gonna fail Him. But Jesus died on the cross and that was our forgiveness. He took all that with Him to the grave with Him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such an important thing to understand for you guys listening. You got to understand that Jesus did that for you. He loved you so much that He died on the cross at Calvary for you, and He shed His blood. And not even knowing who you were at the time, He just knew how important it was. So, that's such a powerful thing to understand. So,
It's true. It's true. It's good. That was good, Cody. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Mine is Psalms 13:5. and 6 actually. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praises, for he has been good to me. Um, that verse pretty much self-explanatory, but I like it. It Psalms, it just sounds like a good song. um, a lot of songs are wrote
Yeah.
from that. But it says, but I trust in your unfailing love. And that it, the unfailing love of God is just so astounding. And it's sometimes you kind of lose track of that. It's like we lose track that he's actually not that far and that he always has his unfailing love for us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we go through some things and we just don't feel like he's there for us. And it's just like, sometimes he puts us through these things to mold us.
Yeah.
And it also says, like, my heart rejoices in your salvation, because he did come here and he died on the cross for us and he saved us all. But again, like the unfailing love part, it's just like he does all this unfailing love. I mean, tough love happens. Let's be real. Sometimes, you got to go through some things to get where you need to be. So I may have not even nailed that verse, but
No, you
we'll
did
rock
good,
with
dude.
it.
That was awesome. That was awesome, dude.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys actually listening to us. We just come on here. We love just talking ball and talking about Jesus and getting connected with everybody. So everybody that's tuned in tonight, we appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Go follow us on all of our social media platforms. It's Cat's Cut Podcast, pretty much
Oh
everywhere.
man.
What just
So
happened?
sorry. 106.3 just popped up on my radio in my vehicle. That's so weird. It's
Oh,
like we're
wow.
live. It's like we go on there at 10 a.m. on Saturdays before the games or
Oh,
something. That's really
wow.
weird. But anyways, uh, no, that's go ahead. Go.
But yeah, go follow us on all those platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are streamed, we are there. So go on there, rate us 5 stars, subscribe. And once again, thank you guys for listening. And as always, go Cats.
Go Cats. Go.